Welcome to the channel, folks. My name's Shane. In today's video, we're checking out the Hohem MT2 motorized gimbal kit. This new 3-axis gimbal is compact, lightweight, and it has some easy to use AI tracking features that really sets it apart from other gimbals on the market. Now, before we get into it, a massive thank you to Hohem for sending out this kit for the review. I really appreciate it. This video will cover everything you need to know about this gimbal kit, and I'll timestamp each section down in the description box below. Let's quickly look at some of the sample footage using this gimbal shot with my Sony FX3 and FX30 cameras. At the time of launch, the Hohem MT2 pack sells for 545 Australian dollars or 350 USD. Now, this gimbal can be used with mobile phones, action cameras, or mirrorless cameras, and this kit comes with all of the attachments and accessories to get you started. The maximum gimbal payload is 1200 grams or 2.64 pounds, allowing it to work with smaller cameras and lens combinations. I had no issues using this gimbal with either my Sony FX3 or FX30. The total package of the camera and lens at its maximum that I tested this with was up at 990 grams. So this does have a 1200 gram limit, so I still had plenty of wiggle room. Additionally, this gimbal has AI tracking that supports hand gestures, and I'll cover more on this in just a moment. I shot over an hour of footage with the MT2 and this Sony FX30, and I had no issues with it wearing me down like my older and heavier DJI Ronin S gimbal, which weighs an absolute ton. On one of the gym shoots I did, I thought I'd only use this for a few shots, but it was light enough to use for the entire shoot, and I was really happy with the results. I love the fact this gimbal is as lightweight as it is, weighing only 653 grams without the camera attached. Now, if I attach all of the accessories, excluding the camera, it only weighs just over 800 grams, so it's nice and light. Whether you're shooting micro four thirds, APS-C, or full frame, if your camera falls below 1200 grams with the lens and accessories attached, you won't have any problems running this gimbal. This gimbal will have no problem supporting the weight of a Lumix S5 Mark II and most of the S series of primes, or the kit lens, but I wouldn't recommend using this with something like the 24-70 f2.8, as the payload will definitely be exceeded. The gimbal itself is ergonomic and intuitive. The joystick, wheel, trigger button, and axis locks are all where you expect them to be. Having used an assortment of gimbals from other brands, I felt right at home on this on my first try. And odds are, if you're coming from another gimbal of another brand or you're downsizing to something lighter, you'll feel right at home on this, and you might not even need to read the instructions. Battery life is rated up to a maximum of 17 hours, but under demanding situations, the runtime will vary. Included with the Hohem MT2 kit is a great quality case. This case is padded and has a good amount of compartments for holding all of your accessories and the gimbal. There's plenty of extra space in there if you need to throw in a few extra camera batteries or other parts for your particular setup. Included in the box, we get 3 different camera mounting solutions. The first is for mobile phones, the second is for action cameras like the GoPro or Osmo Action, and the third is the bracket and plate for mirrorless cameras. The build quality of all the parts is great, and most of the mounts and plates are high quality metal. I love the fact that the MT2 has locks on each axis, allowing you to move it around while it's off to prevent your camera from spinning around. Let's cover some of the basic operation of the gimbal as well as some of the different shooting modes. So by holding the power button down on the side for a few seconds, it allows you to power the gimbal on or off. With the gimbal off, you can simply tap the power button and it will show you how much battery life is left on screen. It's a pretty cool little feature. Double tapping the trigger button allows you to center the gimbal nice and simply, and a triple tap takes it into selfie mode. When shooting video, there's 4 main modes that you'll want to get familiar with. Now, the first of which is PF mode or pan follow mode. This is what I recommend anyone who's just getting started use. Pan follow allows you to gesture left and right, and the gimbal will move left and right. But as I gesture forward or back, it stays facing forwards. This is by far the easiest to get going if you're new to using a gimbal. If you do need to tilt the camera down, for example, you can simply use the joystick and get the same results like this, or tilt it up. It's up to you how you want to use it, but as a beginner, PF mode is the way to go. The second operational mode is called PTF. So unlike the last mode, I can still go left and right, but now if I gesture down, you'll see the camera tilt down. As I gesture up, it will center. As I gesture up again, it will point up. You can still use the joystick on the back if you choose to. Again, if you want to recenter, just double tap the trigger button. The third mode is called AL, which is called lock mode. Now, this lock mode allows the camera to face one way no matter what you do. So if I gesture left and right or up and down, as you can see, everything's still facing forward. Up next is POV mode, which is a similar mode to pan, tilt, and follow, but now we also can roll side to side. So before, we could go left and right, we could go up and down like we still can now, but now, if we go diagonally, the camera will go diagonally as well, which gives you another axis to work with. This is a little bit too advanced for me, so it's not something that I would use personally, but if you're more advanced, this gimbal absolutely has that feature. We also get a sports mode, which is great for fast action moments where shooting in the other modes just aren't fast enough. The joystick can be used to control the gimbal's pan or tilt manually. The joystick is velocity based, so if you only move it a hair, it will be slower than if you hard push it in any direction. Feel-wise, the joystick is great and it gives you a very familiar experience if you've ever shot with any other gimbal before. On the side of the gimbal here, we have this wheel. Now, depending on how you've got this set up, whether you're using it with a mobile phone or camera, it can do a number of different things. It can help you pull focus. If we hold this button in on the side over here, you're going to see the LED light up, and it's actually quite bright. It's bright enough to add a good little fill or hair light here if I had hair. So as you can see, it's nice and bright, and that will just come in handy if you ever need a light on location. As I use the wheel here, we can change the color temperature. We can make it warmer like this, and now this is at 2700 Kelvin and back up to 6500. Now, if we go into the percentage option here, we can change the brightness and make it as dim as you like, down to 1% brightness, all the way up to 100%. And you can see just how bright this is. It's as bright enough as I would need as a fill light in here. It's not super bright. I wouldn't say go exploring with just this light, for example, but if you do need a little bit of extra light on scene or on set, then this will definitely do the job. With the light on, we can also enter RGB mode just by tapping this button on the side 3 times. So on the wheel, and now we're in RGB mode. So this is a color scale from 1 all the way through to 360. You can also control the brightness from 1% to 100%. But as I use the wheel now, by default, it's going to change the color. How cool is this? So if you just need a little bit more atmosphere in one of your shots, you can use an RGB light built right into this. This is fantastic. Now, if you plan on shooting with a phone, this red button and lever is your best friend. So this allows you to zoom in and out using the lever on the side if your device is supported. If you half press the button in the center, it will act like an autofocus mode. So it's kind of like the half press on any other mirrorless camera, which is fantastic. Now, if you press it down in the middle, it will start or stop recording or take a photo depending on the mode you're in. If you press it twice, it will change between photo and video mode on your phone. And if you press it 3 times, it will swap between the rear and front camera. Thanks to the cable or Bluetooth control connectivity, you can pair this gimbal with a lot of camera models from brands like Sony, Canon, Nikon, Panasonic, and Fujifilm. I'll link to a compatibility PDF list in the description box below so you can download that and make sure your camera is fully compatible. What I love about this pack is it came with all of the different attachments for different camera brands. You get all of these. So I got a fistful of cables here that will do the job. If you choose to download the Hohem Joy app for your phone, you'll be able to fully control the gimbal remotely. It will also give you the ability to adjust the motor speed and sensitivity. This allows you to set up the gimbal in a way that works best for your particular use case. Now let's cover the Magnetic AI Tracker. This is such a great feature. This can be used to follow a subject easily if you're new to using gimbals, but it can also be used in a solo content creator capacity. Simply place the gimbal on a tripod or on a table and do the OK hand gesture like this, and it will start to track you. Have a look at this. This is so responsive. I love how this works. If I stand up, it's going to follow me. If I sit back down, it's going to follow me again. Now, if you want to stop this, you can simply do the stop sign like this. The light on the front of the sensor will turn red and it will be back to standard mode. If I do the OK sign again, the light will go green and then it's back into tracking mode. What I love about this AI tracking is it makes for getting dynamic behind the scene shots possible once it initiates tracking, and it does a great job at keeping up. What I did find though is it's a lot easier to frame your shot with a 24mm equivalent lens or wider field of view. Now you get a full 360 degrees pan with a 290 degree tilt, so it allows you to be tracked almost anywhere within the frame, and it's a really powerful feature. Furthermore, this AI tracker accessory snaps into place magnetically, and it doesn't require any Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connectivity. How cool is this? All right, let's wrap this video up. I'm gonna cover the pros and cons of the Hohem MT2 kit, starting with what I like about it. So the weight and overall design of this kit is fantastic. The gimbal is nice and light, and after shooting with it for over an hour just yesterday before shooting this, I would have no problems recommending this as a lightweight rig. Pair this with a smaller form factor camera, something like this Sony FX30, or even a larger full frame camera with a smaller lens, you're going to get great results, and the motors have no problems whatsoever handling the maximum capacity payload. Maybe my favorite thing about this gimbal is the magnetic AI tracking system. This is spectacular, and it really sets it apart from all of my other gimbals. The only small critique I have about this is that it could fall off extremely easy. It's just a slight knock and it will come off. It won't come off when you're using the gimbal as it's intended, but I remember a couple of times I put this in the car, I laid it down on the back seat and it popped off and fell onto the floor, which means you could potentially lose this. I would have loved to have seen some sort of locking mechanism to keep this on all of the time. It's great that it's optional because not everyone will want to use it, but I love the fact it also has an on-off button at the top, but it just does fall off a little bit too easily. That's maybe my only criticism about it. I also did notice that I had to keep rebalancing this almost every time I turned it off and then back on, even if the camera was still attached for best results. So just keep that in mind, but usability, functionality, and all of the great features make this a really viable option if you're looking for a somewhat affordable gimbal that it's full of professional features. And if you're shooting with a phone, or if you want to shoot vertical video, you can do all of that and more. You can set up a time lapse. It really is full of great options for filmmakers or people shooting weddings, for example. Anyone doing short films, YouTube content creation, whatever the case may be, it's really full of great options. A massive thanks to Hohem for sending out this kit. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. My name's Shane. Thanks for watching. Catch you soon. See ya.